Hi, I'm Patty Dreier, Portage County Executive. Welcome to Portage County Matters. I'm excited about this show today and about economic development, what UW-Stevens Point is up to in that wonderful arena. We'll get to Dave Eckmann in a minute as he's my guest today, but I'd like to cover a couple other things at the top of the show, as I normally do. First of all, Vital Information Program. This is a program for people who are caregivers or who are receiving caregiving services from other people. So folks that generally are caregivers or getting some care from somebody else. What we have here is a program that is a partnership between our Portage County EMS and our Aging and Disability Resource Center. And it's an opportunity for folks to get a packet like this, to complete some personal information about who are they caregiving for, or what kinds of services are they getting, or do they have pets, or who somebody should contact in case of emergency, some medical history, things like that. And you hang this packet on the refrigerator, and that way if an ambulance comes to your house, the paramedics or first responders go to your refrigerator, look for this packet, grab it, and make sure it goes right with you, and that they can make sure that we are picking up all the other pieces that are related to your own life as a caregiver, or the kinds of care you may need as a person at a certain place and time in your life. For example, if you need a certain way to be lifted, my mom used to need a certain kind of lift when I would help her. I had to grab her under her arms and so on and so forth to help her be lifted. There are certain ways that certain individuals will be safer if others know how to lift and how to care for them. And so the Vital Information Program is really an important one. And I hope that if you don't have one of these on your refrigerator, that you will get about the practice of getting one, and that is to stop in at our Aging and Disability Resource Center or to call that number at 715-346-1401, and someone will help you get the right packet for you and get it completed if you need help completing it, so that we can make you safer and make it easier to provide great care across Portage County for all of you. The other thing I wanted to mention was enterprise resource planning. You've heard me talk about this before. It's the biggest computer change that we're going to have, or the technology change we're going to have in Portage County government, probably in our history. And so I wanted to give you an update. If you'll remember, all of our financial and human resource systems will be converted to the new technology system beginning in 2014, and it's about a 2-year rollout. The project costs about $1.4 million. We've now completed about a month of different evaluations and demonstrations that have gone on in the county government, with probably 50 or more folks involved in listening to demonstrations, providing survey responses and evaluations of those demonstrations, and helping to choose the right vendor for Portage County. We have now issued a notice of intent to award the contract to Dreier Technologies. So I wanted to let you know that you could stay tuned. We're continuing to move forward, and as early as January of 2014, we expect to be taking some next actions to continue to roll out this huge project. Another bit of news. You've heard me talk for many months now about the Wisconsin Department of Corrections project, where the state contacted Portage County to develop a new model for justice to reduce recidivism in the state of Wisconsin. Well, after 2 years of planning, far more than any one of us anticipated, we now have a signed contract from Secretary Wall with the Wisconsin Department of Corrections. So it's a multi-year contract for a new model justice project for our entire state of Wisconsin. It'll be centered out of the Portage House, our halfway house here in Portage County. And that contract now is the last step we needed to complete before we can start implementing the program. It's called Community and Residential Services Program, and it will seek to rehabilitate offenders through aggressive programming and accountability strategies. We'll be working with the state very closely through this project, monitoring its success as we roll it out to reduce recidivism through the project. And I am looking forward to having the folks from the Wisconsin Department of Corrections stop in and talk with me tomorrow morning in my office. So anyway, thrilled about this. You can expect that there will be lots more news over the months and years ahead. Employee years of service. Every December, of course, we're looking at the calendar year saying, gosh, we couldn't do it without our employees in Portage County who help to keep the mission alive and moving ahead for all of us here in the county. And I wanted to share with you that while I won't read the names of employees who have years of service that we want to express gratitude for and appreciation for their service, what I would like to do is to give you a sense of how many folks are we talking about in county government who serve you every day, so many that you'll never know are working for you, because when it's working well, you know, it's pretty invisible sometimes in a very good way. But anyway, we have a total of 76 awards that I'll be, or recognitions that I'll be giving out in December at all of the holiday and Christmas parties. And just to give you an idea, we have 10 years of service recognitions for 21 people, servants in Portage County government. We have 15 years of service going to 27 county employees. We have 17 years of service going to those with 20 years of service. 17 recognitions to those with 20 years of service in Portage County government. We have 6 who have worked for Portage County for 25 years. 1 who has worked, again, these are their years of service, so there can be others that are have already got 25 years behind them, but this is their 5-year mark, I guess you would say. We've got 1 who is going to celebrate a 30th years of service recognition, and 4 who will receive recognitions for 35 years of service this year. So thank you to all of those employees. 76 awardees for their 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and 35 years of service marks in their life and in their service to all of us. So thank you very much. I wanted to mention strategic planning-wise that we are continuing to move ahead on the implementation plans for the project. We are, or for the framework. We have department heads that are chairing strategic planning teams right now and putting together actions and timelines that I'll be able to present at the January County Board meeting to our whole community. Finally, before we get to my guest today, it's winter solstice time. Of course, the shortest day of the year is on the 21st, but I always have been providing an open house with the help of my executive assistant, Jamie Gabert. And our open house, our winter solstice open house in the county executive's office is on Thursday, December 19th this year from 10 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Since the county executive office is your office, I invite you, whoever is watching, to come up, stop up into your office, into the county exec's office, and get a cup of coffee if you'd like, a cup of hot tea if you'd like, and we'll have some home-baked goodies that Jamie and I make and bring into the office. We'll have some holiday cheer and just a chance to connect, to make sure that you know we're here for you. And if you have any ideas, issues, or concerns you'd like to bring up, even at that time, you're very welcome to do so. So again, Thursday, December 19th from 10 till 2:30 in the afternoon. Hope you'll stop in. And now on to my guest, Dave Eckmann. Dave, welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Dave's special assistant to the Chancellor, Chancellor Bernie Patterson at UW-Stevens Point, and this is all for economic development. It's a new position at the university, and this is exciting. So we're going to get to talk about the university's role in economic development and how you plan to engage local stakeholders and regional partners in economic development efforts.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about you. Well, let's start there, and we'll talk more about your university role after that.
Okay. I'm a Wisconsinite, and I grew up really down in the southern part of the state, but when I was in the military, my parents moved north, and at that point then my life moved north. And we were in business, had a business, and long story short, my travels took me out to Arizona where I received my degrees. at Arizona State University, but came back home to be a participant in the family business. And after that experience, I got into public sector work, where I really took my love for public administration coupled with business administration, started working in workforce development. And I worked in the workforce development region, and that's where you and I first met many, many years ago. And so that was a 2-year experience. And then I progressed on to economic development, where I spent 6 years at the Marathon County Development Corporation doing a variety of economic development work, from business startups, entrepreneurship, to business attraction, retention, and site plans. And so it's a very comprehensive approach. And then this opportunity really presented itself as part of the Partnership for Thriving Communities coming out of the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point, in that they committed that they would hire an economic development person. And this was back in January of 2012 when Bernie first announced this.
And I remember he announced it at the Portage County Business Council board meeting.
Okay.
And it was great to hear that, but even greater now to learn more about it.
Right. And when I heard that day, I went up to the Chancellor and I said, I'm very interested in that position. And so I watched it. I watched it be developed for well over a year. And when it came out, the notice, I applied for it immediately and was engaged in the process fully. And I did that because I am passionate about education and its role in economic development. From a perspective of the economy in which we live in today, the global economy, it's a knowledge-based economy. The university, higher education, we'll even go down to K-12, is so important that education is integrated into economic development work, and so I get to bring my passion for that here.
Absolutely. It's like one smooth motion if it's going well, right? All the way from coming up through the kindergarten, pre-K ranks, all the way up. That's right. And if it means that there's a 4-year college in the picture, or a tech college in the picture, or a chance for a visionary to get their entrepreneurial wings, if you would.
Absolutely.
It's great for all of us.
And it's so important. Yeah, I was an adult learner. So I had a high school experience that, I had a lot of fun in high school, but was I a quality college student? By no means. But I got back into it as an adult, and I went to school. And I was going to work in higher education out in Arizona. I was heading for my PhD. And life took me off that track, like it does so many of us.
Sure.
And in this economy that we live in today and forevermore, there has to be a place where people can come in and come out and go into education. And if they need to go out and do some work to support their family and do some economic things that they have to do for their family and kids, they do it. But the opportunity's always there for higher education, and people must engage in it.
What I love about where you've come from to be here today, in this role at the university, which we'll talk more about in a minute, is you've come from all different angles. This diversity of experience, I think, is what really helps me in my role as county executive here. Come up through different walks of life that all kind of converge and help give you lots of versatility in a world that is incredibly dynamic.
Absolutely. I'm where I'm supposed to be at my point in life right now today. I'm where I am supposed to be with all the experience and opportunities that I've had, and then tying it to education and my passion for it. Super
to feel that destiny, right?
Yes.
Yeah, excellent. So let's talk about the role itself. So it's a new role. You are charting a whole new course here. So tell us about what's happening and what's your job then?
Okay. So even from a system perspective, UW system perspective, I'm probably one of the first ones in my role throughout the whole state of Wisconsin. It is. And it's an acknowledgement and it's always been true, the university plays a critical role in economic development. But it's not, there's been some assumptions made that it's just, it's there and that's what it is. It needs to be more proactive. And so that's part of what my role is that, okay, we have a university and we operate within a system. And in the university itself at UWSP, we have 9,600 students, nearly 10,000 students. We have over 1,000 employees and about 600 faculty people. So there's a lot of assets and resources within the university. I can tell you, there's a lot of smart people on that campus. Okay, I'm privileged to work with them. And there's many, many entrepreneurs in that campus.
And not to mention all the alums.
Absolutely.
Myself a couple times over again.
Yes. And you know,
Yeah.
if you look around, the region, you'll find a lot of UWSP alums that are doing great things for the place that they live in. So part of the opportunity immediately is for the university system to become more entrepreneurial. What does that mean? That means maybe challenging the status quo of how things are done and trying to do things a little bit differently, more effectively with a limited amount of resources. Many entrepreneurs operate that way, and there's an expectation too that government, and you well know, with Portage County government and the governments around here, always trying to do things better and more efficiently, and that's part of being entrepreneurial. So it's bringing the tools to help them be entrepreneurial inside. That means faculty, researchers. If people don't know this, and we really need to make sure that people know this, researchers test and fail their ideas every day. They test, fail, test, succeed. And when they fail, they go back and do it again. They're pure entrepreneurs. And they live within a system, and so what you have to do then is to help that entrepreneur, that researcher, if they want to do something commercially, or they're getting entrepreneurial to do something a little bit different, we help them in that culture, okay? Same with the students. A lot of students are going to be educated and they want to get out in the workplace, especially the cohorts in today's age. Students are more entrepreneurial. They want to be self-employed. And so we can set up the systems, and will be setting up the systems that are going to facilitate that growth with faculty and students.
Fabulous. And plus, so many students want to test their research, their research visions, or to assist in research projects. And so there's a whole nother opening, I guess, for us to continue to do even better in making that possible.
Right. So you have them internally inside the university, but the distinction then comes with where Chancellor Patterson took the university almost nearly 3 years ago in developing the Partnership for Thriving Communities.
That strategic plan. I mean,
Absolutely.
some of the listeners may not be aware, but that's a fabulous plan. And I actually referred to that one when we were continuing to do our work in county government as well. So we would make sure that we were all pulling in the same direction.
Yes, and that's critical, and I'll touch on that point. But the Partnership for Thriving Communities, when I came in, and I did a little bit of research prior to me, through the interview process, but getting on board and looking at it, it is a comprehensive plan which is broad enough. It does not define in totality efforts that need to be made. It's broad in concept. And with that, it's easy to tie to regional economic development plans, local economic development plans, Portage County Business Council. Absolutely. So what you can do is you can plug in the value premise of the university into the strategic plans of your locals, all the way to the regional, all the way to the state. So we have some alignments where we can access resources that make sense.
Again, beautiful. Just having come through the strategic planning initiation here in Portage County government, one of the criticisms of the plan is it doesn't have all the detail. It doesn't have pages of action steps behind it at this point in time. And I knew all along that strategic frameworks had the most value because your action steps may continue to change as you go, as you get to the top of the next hill, if you would, to be able to see further than you could see early on. And it's much the same. It's much the same as what you're talking about, where we'll be able to continue to integrate these plans, again, ensure that we're making the greatest bang for the buck if there was a buck involved, or the greatest sharing of energy in a common direction, getting us on that common page. And very interestingly, too, you mentioned the Portage County Business Council. With those efforts, that we've been having strategic planning about economic development with the Business Council. I think the timing is going to be absolutely perfect as they're working up the details of those plans now from all of us stakeholders helping to shape what that destiny might look like as far as a plan goes. Then we'll be able to marry it with all these other plans. And I think, again, that will help us all greatly.
Yes.
Fabulous.
Yeah, there are not infinite resources. Many that we had before, all of us, we don't have that luxury anymore. And so we do need to collaborate. It's a must to collaborate and not overlap and do redundant things, but to complement each other in how we do things and what we can bring to the table. That's part of the Partnership for Thriving Communities, really the strong platform. Chancellor Patterson would, if he were here, he would tell you that our presence from the university is from Madison to Canada. And he's pretty true to that in terms of him making the commitments. And so while we're here in Stevens Point, where the engine is, it's strong. It's a strong regional proposition to take the university beyond the walls of its campus and have a presence within the communities up and down the Wisconsin River Valley. And with that, you know, we start to do some outreach and relationship building because, remember, we have 9,600 students, many of which live here, but many of whom are from around the state of Wisconsin.
And across the world.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes.
And so with that in mind, we do have a role and a responsibility to make sure we serve those students and alumni that we're out and we're helping to develop new enterprise. There's places where we can go from a university that many education partners can't, you know.
So so Dave, if you don't mind, let's start to take a look at the recent grant program, because I think it gives a concrete way to think about all of this beautiful concept framework.
Absolutely.
Yeah, help us on that one.
Yeah, so the university received, recently there was $22.5 million that came out from UW system to all the schools, and it was a competitive RFP process. Well, I'm happy to say that the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point did very well. We nearly netted 25% of the total amount. We received 3 grants totaling upwards towards $5 million, and they're really about what is excellence at the university. The university is known for paper science and engineering, and the university is known for natural resources and its expertise in fish science, things like that. So we received 3 grants. Now the first one is really about taking the paper industry. We all know that we've all lived through the paper downturn, okay? Paper's not dead. And people really need to understand, paper's not dead.
Certainly not in my office.
Paper is changing. The industry is changing. It's a globally competitive market, and the industry is getting into niche businesses that are still critical, important economic drivers in the state of Wisconsin. $5.2 billion industry, over 33,000 jobs throughout the state. This university is really going to start to plant the flag again for paper excellence, but what it's going to do is it's going to talk about the future of paper. So the enhancements of the paper machine to help get into new coating technologies to help assist the research and development efforts. Now remind you, paper goes all the way from the northwoods of Wisconsin down towards Wisconsin Rapids and then across the state over to the eastern part of the state. Big chunk of our state economy. So we're really taking the excellence with paper science and engineering to help support that effort.
So that's one of the grants.
That's one.
And I know we have 5 minutes. I want to make sure we get to hear the other ones as well.
The other one is to build a biomass plant. So while we're helping the front end of the paper industry, the waste streams coming out of the paper industry can be converted into high-value chemicals. So we're going to be building a biomass pilot plant as well. That's another part of it. And then the third grant that we received is to help to build a research and development incubator center for aquaculture, aquaponics here in this region. And so with those 3 grants, we have a lot of work to do on the university. We're going to work hard and we're going to hit the mark. and we're going to exceed expectations. We're going to show the university's relevance in economic development.
Absolutely cool. Oh, Dave, so what's your role with those grant projects?
Well, the principal investigators, those who wrote the grants, they're really going to be in charge. What I'm going to be working with them is because they're teaching, they're researching, and now they have to work with these grants. I'm going to be in place to help to mitigate obstacles. In my experience with economic development, I know where the potential hurdles are going to be, and so I'm addressing those now because I want to get them out of their way.
And helping to identify the partnerships too.
Absolutely.
You know, they'll know some of them, but
Right.
you might have some other suggestions, right?
Precisely.
And put it all
Yes.
together.
Bring in stronger industry ties, build community partnerships to get these things done. It takes a lot of different people to help get this done, and sometimes you don't understand who is going to help you until you get right up to that one little detail that says, okay, we need to engage this stakeholder, and you bring them in. Economic development's more than just attracting new companies. It's a community activity, and people need to understand it's a community activity. Even the singular person can have one little effect on economic development in just having a thought and sharing the thought. And then that thought gets taken to a person and says, you know what, that's a good idea. Let's look at that.
Fabulous. Take a look at, let's talk just for another couple minutes about entrepreneurship on campus. There's certainly a tie-in to what you're saying and all these other kinds of initiatives.
Right. Well, you know, we have the entrepreneurs on campus, the researchers. There are a lot of professors with intellectual property rights having been developed already. So they have patents on technologies. So what we're doing there is to build pathways so that we can get from what is an idea to a commercial application. Now, can we do that all by ourselves? Absolutely not. So what do? We partner with UW System. We partner with the Center for Technology Commercialization, the Small Business Development Center. The resources that already exist, we're not reinventing them. We're bringing them to bear from the system. We cannot reinvent tools on the campus. We have to reach into the toolbox of the system to get things done. And we're going to be doing that. The students want to get into an entrepreneurial effort. So the Student Government Association on campus is really interested in helping to promote student entrepreneurship, and we're going to be working with them as well.
That's a cool spin on it. Wow. Now, what can listeners do? You know, folks who might be watching the show, how can they engage in this, or how can they provide support to the whole process?
Well, like I said, economic development, it's not just about building buildings. It's not about attracting companies. It's about making stronger communities. It happens from the bottom up. It percolates from the bottom up. Foundations, houses are built from the bottom up. And so when we start to build a strong economy, it really is taking the input. So when you go to your listening sessions and when people share things with you and ideas in different forums, they need to be at least talked about. It may not be something that moves forward, but you never know. It could be that one idea. I'll give you an example.
And then we have about 30 seconds at the most.
There was a freeway project taking place up in Wausau. And a community member came up and said, what if you did it this way instead? And that idea was taken by DOT and it was integrated into the plan, and it changed the plan and it made it better.
We do that in this county for sure. But you know what, Dave? I just have to say thank you so much to you and to Chancellor Patterson in having this vision and helping us all move forward this way. I'm really excited, and I can't wait to partner with you to help make it all that it can possibly be. All right. Hey, thanks for joining us today. My guest next month is going to be Jake Barnes, who is going to talk about snowmaking at Standing Rocks County Park. Thank you.